Welcome back to The Explainer. We are diving straight back into the nightmare, plunging right into the escalating paranoia of Day 3 in the Amazon. If you remember the sheer terror from Part 1, the glowing blue mushrooms, the people just vanishing without a trace, then you know our remaining survivors are trapped in this dense, unforgiving jungle with a ruthless killer. The psychological tension, it's completely at a boiling point right now, and the darkest secrets of this jungle are about to be blown wide open.
So we're picking up exactly where we left off. The group has been whittled down to just 3 people, Dr. Kevin, Christy, and Jack, and they are locked in this incredibly tense, terrifying standoff. It finally hits them, this horrifying realization: one of us is the killer. They're just eyeing each other with absolute terror, completely consumed by raw human survival instincts. I mean, the threat isn't some mythical jungle beast out there in the trees, it's one of them. Someone breathing the same humid air, sharing the exact same dwindling supplies.
And this claustrophobic paranoia makes it literally impossible to trust the person standing right next to you. Jack is completely convinced it's Dr. Kevin. His reasoning? Well, a medical professional knows exactly how to exploit human weaknesses to inflict lethal harm, right? But Kevin flips it around, suspecting that Jack and Christy are secretly working together, pointing out that Christy was the one who freed Jack the night before. Everyone has a motive, everyone has an alibi, and honestly, the suspense here is just suffocating.
And then comes just a crushing psychological blow. Imagine this whiplash. Minute 1, you hear a noise, you look up, and a Mexican army helicopter is actually hovering right overhead. Salvation is literally right there, but the Amazon has its own dark plans. Within minutes, this dense, impenetrable fog rolls in out of nowhere, completely swallowing the ground. The army has no choice. They have to pull back to avoid crashing into the mountainside. Just like that, the hope of rescue is snatched away, leaving them stranded with a murderer for at least one more day.
Okay, so knowing they have to be visible when the army finally comes back, they come up with a desperate plan to build a signal fire up on the mountain. But trust is completely gone at this point. Christy flat out refuses to trek up that mountain with an armed Dr. Kevin. So, to prove he isn't the killer, and just to bring the temperature down, Dr. Kevin does something crazy. He disarms himself completely. He takes his gun, all his bullets, and throws them straight into a nearby pond. With Kevin staying behind, Christy and an injured, limping Jack begin the dangerous climb by themselves.
While Jack and Christy are resting on their climb, they're openly discussing their mutual suspicions that Kevin absolutely has to be the mastermind. And right then, the unthinkable happens. A sudden, sharp gunshot rings out from the camp below. It completely shatters their reality, because think about it, if Kevin threw his gun away and Jack and Christy are together, who on earth just fired that weapon?
Driven by pure panic, they rush back down to the camp, only to find their prime suspect, Dr. Kevin, murdered in just a gruesome scene. He's been shot in the back, his body has fallen into the pond, and his face is already partially eaten by the fish. It is a deeply unsettling, horrifying sight, and it begs a terrifying question. If Jack and Christy were together this whole time, and there is supposedly no one else in this remote stretch of the Amazon, who killed him? The sheer impossibility of it pushes their paranoia completely off the charts.
Forced to take shelter inside the plane's wreckage overnight, Jack decides it is finally time to come clean. He drops a massive secret on Christy, one that fundamentally shifts our entire understanding of this story. Jack is not just some random passenger, he's a government investigator. He reveals that this whole terrifying ordeal wasn't an accident. The crash was intentionally orchestrated to hide a much darker truth. On top of that, his wife Claire, who is also an investigator, knows he's out there and is aggressively pressuring the Mexican army to launch a full-scale rescue.
But knowing the truth doesn't guarantee you're going to survive. The next morning, as the sun barely begins to burn through the fog, the real danger emerges. Dressed entirely in black, a masked figure materializes right out of the mist. The true killer has finally stepped out of the shadows. The attacker moves with this lethal precision, quickly striking Christy, knocking her completely unconscious, and then backs an injured Jack all the way to the terrifying edge of a steep cliff.
Staring imminent death in the face, Jack screams out the question we are all asking. Why did you kill everyone? Who are you? But the killer doesn't say a single word. He simply shoots Jack twice, sending him plummeting off the cliff into the abyss below. Thinking he's won, the killer then turns to a barely conscious, horrified Christy. He slowly reaches up, removes his mask, and reveals a face she never, ever suspected.
Section 2. The morgue's dark secret. Leaving the jungle behind for a cold, sterile military base. Meanwhile, the Mexican army finally reaches the crash site, but what they find is a deeply disturbing scene. Packages are missing from the wreckage, there are absolutely 0 survivors, and 9 bodies are just lined up in a row. These bodies are promptly transported to a secure military morgue for forensic processing, where Jack's devastated wife, Claire, is waiting to identify his remains. The bodies are all laid out in this quiet, highly secure forensic lab. But an unauthorized woman has actually infiltrated the base using a stolen medical ID. Suddenly, one of the sealed black body bags on the table begins to twitch. Slowly, agonizingly, a knife blade pierces the thick plastic, slicing the bag open from the inside out. The truth here is just jaw-dropping. Dr. Kevin is alive. The trusted survivor, the guy they found supposedly dead with his face eaten by fish, is the ruthless, masked killer. He faked his own horrific death, orchestrated the brutal murders of every single passenger, and then voluntarily smuggled himself right into a heavily fortified military base by hiding inside a body bag.
This was a cold, incredibly calculated master plan. And he wasn't working alone. That woman who infiltrated the base, that's his secret partner, airline manager Cora. Their plan was pure evil. Step 1, crash the plane. Step 2, kill the survivors one by one, so there are 0 witnesses. Step 3, extract high-value smuggled drug packets from the wreckage. Then, and honestly this is the darkest part, hide those drugs deep inside the corpses of the victims. Finally, Kevin plays dead to bypass the Army's intense security inspections, smuggling the product right into the city.
Inside the lab, it is a race against time. While Jack's grieving wife Claire is waiting just outside the door to identify her husband's body, Kevin and Cora get to work. They slice open the victims again, extracting their lucrative loot. To cover their twisted tracks, they pour volatile chemicals all over the corpses and set the entire forensic lab ablaze. In the fiery chaos that follows, they blend right in and successfully flee the military base in a stolen vehicle. It really seems like the bad guys have won.
Section 3. The Final Jungle Betrayal. A miraculous survival in the ultimate poetic justice.
Just as Kevin and Cora are out there celebrating their dark victory, the Mexican army, who are still combing through the jungle crash site, catch a flash of light. It's a miraculous signal made using a pair of sunglasses. Against all odds, Jack survived the fall. The thick morning fog had ruined Kevin's aim, meaning the bullets weren't actually fatal. And as he fell off that cliff, a dense jungle tree canopy completely broke his fall. Once he's rescued, Jack uncovers the ultimate lie. He reviews the flight manifest and discovers that no one named Dr. Kevin was ever even on that passenger list. It was a completely fake identity manufactured by a professional smuggler. This crucial piece of intel leads Jack and the army straight to Cora's house.
But Kevin's paranoia and his greed know absolutely no bounds. Before the army can even arrive, Kevin ruthlessly betrays his own partner in crime. In an incredible twist of irony, he actually poisons Cora's food. And what does he use? The exact same glowing, deadly blue jungle mushrooms that sparked the initial terror all the way back on day 1. He takes all the drug money for himself and just leaves her there to die.
Attempting a daring solo escape with millions in drugs, Kevin takes off in a small private plane. But Jack, battered, bruised, but just relentlessly determined, arrives just in time. Firing his weapon at the ascending aircraft, Jack's precise gunshot manages to pierce the plane's fuel tank. Fuel rapidly sprays out into the sky. The small engine sputters, and the plane begins this violent spiral downwards. And here's where the story delivers a stunning stroke of poetic justice. The dying plane plummets from the sky, tearing through the canopy. And where does it land? It crashes right into the exact same isolated patch of the dense Amazon jungle where the original commercial flight went down. Right back into the heart of darkness. Trapped in the twisted metal wreckage of his own making, unable to escape, the mastermind breathes his last. Dr. Kevin, the fake doctor, the ruthless smuggler, the orchestrator of 9 brutal deaths, dies exactly where his horrific string of murders began. The jungle, it seems, always balances its scales. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. When survival turns to absolute greed, does the dark jungle always claim exactly what it is owed? Was it Jack's bullet that truly stopped Kevin, or did the sinister depths of the Amazon simply reach out to reclaim the monster it helped create? Think about that. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we dive into another incredible story.